Hello everyone and good afternoon. We are the group 3. So our topic in this afternoon is all about the directing. So in this topic, we will gonna understand and learn what is directing, leadership, theories, communication, and also the process. So what is directing? Unsa di ay nang directing? So, directing is the center of the role of the management, and also it is the process of work that with and through people accomplish organizational goals. So, ang directing, amo na siya ang mo-guide ug mo-lead sa mga people para ang people or ang tao makahibaw siya kung unsay role niya sa usa ka work, kung unsay buhatonon niya, and also kung unsaon pagbuhat sana, and kung kano sana nila buhaton. Ang directing amo na siya mo organize and also mo assist sa mga tao, mag-explain kung unsaon na pagbuhat ing ana. So unsa di ay nang purpose sa directing? So, ang purpose sa directing, amo na siya nag-ensure sa mga sa tanan plano, and also amo na siya nag-execute through kanang leadership, motivation, communication, and supervision. So, ang directing amo na siya mo-lead sa mga tao, mo-motivate sa mga tao, and also kanang makig-communicate. So, muto ka og maminaw sa mga tao para masabtan sa tanan. And also the supervision. Next is the importance of directing. So we have 4 reasons why the directing is important. So first is help employees understand their tasks. So same sa akong gisulti ganiha, ang directing amo na siya mo help sa mga employees para makasabot sila kung unsay task nila. So amo na siya ang mo explain sa mga employees kung unsaon na pagbuhat. That's all. Next is the build teamwork and coordination. So and the second one, so dire ang directing amo na siya mo build sa teamwork sa usa ka grupo, and also kanang amo pod siya nag-coordinate sa usa ka grupo para dali ra mahuman ang work inga na. Next is the third one is keep employees motivated. So ang directing amo pod siya ang mo motivate sa iyang mga employees. So siya maghatag ng encourage sa employee. Then the last one is make sure plans are done properly. So ang directing amo na siya mo check if ang trabaho sa usa ka employee kanang iya ba nahuman og tarong og limpyo. So amo pud siya nag-sure kung ang trabaho ba sa usa ka employee kanang nahuman og tarong. So we have key points here. So without directing, other function like planning, organizing, and staffing have no meaning. So, because of directing, kanang tanan function like planning, organizing, and staffing, kanang nagkaroon yun siya ng meaning. So, nagamit yun ni siya. So, that's why importante yun ang directing. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so good day everyone. I'll be discussing the principles of marketing and organization and management. So first, we have here a principles of directing from 1 to 4. So we have here a number 1. Number 1 is the maximum individual contribution. What does it mean? This means by management should adopt policies that motivate employees to give their maximum potential and encourage employees to give their best performance. So the goal is to achieve both individual satisfaction and organizational success. So this means by maningingon nga like mag-motivate ta sa itong mga employees to give their maximum potential. So the purpose is So the purpose is the maximizing individual contribution, and the purpose is to create synergistic environment where employees are both highly motivated and satisfied. So kanang mag-lead ta sa mga greater organizational para ma-success. So like for example, let's say for example about the maximizing individual contribution. So let's say for example the flexible or work arrangement. So mo ni siyang kanabitong nag offer sa mga options like remote work or flexible hours can improve work-life balance and job satisfaction. So second is the harmony and objectives. So what does it mean? Harmony of objectives. Directing helps align individual and organizational goals, balance the goals of the organization and employees. So this means by kanabitong mga nag-align sa mga individual in terms of organizational management. Okay, naman tayo gingon nga goal. Through effectively kanang mga directional bitaw. So the purpose about this kana bitong to ensure the employees or the personal goals are in syncing the organization objectives. So let's say for example, kanang mga nagmotivate sa itong mga product and overall job satisfaction. So another example kanang para magets bitaw that kanang the company wants to increase the market to share their organizational goal. So in a company an employee is given by the opportunity to lead a project or to develop the new marketing strategies. So matawag na to na siya kanabitong individual goal. So which means goal. So if the project is successful, then the company increases the market to share. So and the employee gains the valuable experience and let's say recognition. Experience the recognition. So third, we have a unity of command. Unity of command. Wait lang guys, nawala ko guys. Unity of command. So what does it mean? Each subordinate shall receive instructions from only one superior. Prevents confusion, conflict, and disorder. So, ensures clear responsibility and accountability. So, this means by kanang mga kanang nag-receive tag mga instruction bitaw properly sa usa ka superior. So, okay. The purpose of this term is to prevent the confusion or conflict. Just what I've said, the conflict and disorder by ensuring on each subordinate receives instructions, di ba? Ano ko kanina, mga maka-receive tag instructions for only one in superior. So, it is also to ensure clear responsibility and accountability. So, let's say for example, in a construction project, a worker shall only receive instructions from their direct supervisor, not from multiple managers, but to avoid the conflicting directions and maintain the accountability. So last, we have here a number 4, appropriate direction technique. So this means by use suitable techniques to supervise, lead, communicate, and motivate employees. Shall match employee needs, attitudes, and capabilities. use the right approach to lead and motivate employees. So, appropriate direction technique. The purpose, let's say the purpose directly, to use the suitable techniques to supervise. So, ano siyang mga nag-approach nga kailangan na to i-match sa mga employee nga nag-name. So, let's say for example about this term. A manager recognizing that some employees are nga ma-motivate bitaw siya by in public recognition, while the others prefer private feedback. Then the manager tailors their approach accordingly to maximize motivation and the productivity rather. So that's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My topic for today is all about principles of directing. So there are 8 principles of directing, which are the maximum individual contribution, harmony of objectives, unity of command, appropriate direction technique, managerial communication, use informal organization, leadership, and follow through. So the 4 principles of directing is stated by Bacalso. So the fifth managerial communication refers to the process by which managers share information, ideas, and instruction with employees and other stakeholders to achieve organizational goals effectively. It plays a key role in decision making, conflict resolution, team coordination, and employee motivation. Clear and effective communication helps reduce misunderstanding, improves workflow, and strengthens relationship within the workplace. For example, if a manager is introducing a new company policy, they must communicate it clearly through both written formats like an official memo or email, and verbal channels such as team meetings or one-on-one discussions. Suppose a manager needs to improve productivity in a department. Instead of just demanding better results, they might hold a meeting to explain the expectation, ask for feedbacks on current challenges, and provide support or resources needed to help employees meet the goals. This two-way communication builds trust, show respect for employee input, and results in better performance. Thus, managerial communication is not just about delivering messages, but also about listening, understanding, and creating a positive communication climate in the organization. So, the sixth principle of directing is how to use of informal organization. So, use of informal organization within a workplace refers to the unofficial relationships, social networks, and communication channels that naturally form among employees outside of formal structures, while not part of the official hierarchy. Informal organization plays a crucial role in enhancing collaboration, spreading information quickly, and build team morale. These networks often help employees solve problems more efficiently and create a sense of community and belonging. Managers who understand and leverage informal organization can tap into the real dynamics of the workplace, gaining insight into employee sentiment and identifying potential influencers or leaders within teams. For example, if a manager notices that certain employees frequently gather to discuss work-related issues informally during during breaks, they can involve those individuals in decision-making processes or pilot programs, knowing they have influence among peers. By recognizing and integrating informal networks into formal processes, organization can improve communication flow, encourage innovation, and boost and boost employee engagement. So the seventh principle of directing is leadership. So what is leadership? Leadership is the ability to guide, influence, and inspire individuals or groups towards the achievement of common goals. It involves setting a clear vision, making strategic decisions, motivating others, and fostering a positive work environment. Effective leadership is not limited to authority or position. It is demonstrated through actions, communications, empathy, and the ability to adapt to different situations. A good leader builds trust, encourages teamwork, and supports the development of their team members. For example, during a challenging project with tight deadlines, a strong leader might organize regular check-ins to monitor progress, provide encouragement, delegate tasks based on team strengths, and step into the resolve any issues. This help keep the team focused and motivated, ultimately leading to successful project completion. Leadership, therefore, plays a vital role in shaping organizational culture, driving performance, and achieving long-term success. So, kasabot raman taon sang leadership no nga. So, naiingon nila nga everyone can be a leader. So, if ikaw nga leader, ikaw ang mo guide as a father to your team nga ma-encourage sila sa ilang gibuhat, ma-motivate sila nga dili ikay magpasiugda nga maggara-gara kay tungod ikaw laging leader, pero ang leader mo na siyang mag-motivate, muhatag og kusog sa grupo. So lastly of principle directing is follow through. So what is follow through? Follow through is the act of completion task, commitments, or promises consistently and reliably. In a professional setting, it reflects accountability, responsibility, and dedication to achieving goals. When individual or managers follow through on what they say they will do, it builds trust, strengthens relationships, and enhances credibility within a team or organization. It also ensures that projects move forward smoothly and that expectations are met. For example, if a manager promises to provide additional training to employees to improve their performance, it is essential that they follow through by arranging the training sessions as planned. Failing to do so could lead to the decreased morale, lack of trust, and lower productivity. Consistent follow-through is a key trait of effective leadership and professionalism, demonstrating that words are backed by action. So, this is my topic. So, I hope you understand what are the disciples of directing. So, the eight the eighth principle of directing are nga kining walo ka buok mao ni siyang mo guide nimo sa usa ka kumpanya nga maayo og buhi. That's all.
Good morning everyone, and actually good morning sir. Our topic for today is leadership and the theories of leadership. Leadership theories provide frameworks for understanding why some people are effective leaders, focusing on innate traits, learning behaviors, and institutional factors. Key theories include the great man theory, suggesting leaders are born, trait theory, identifying common leaders' characteristic, behavioral theory, which focuses on observable action, contingency theory emphasizes how context influences leadership, and transnational leadership, which involves inspiring and influencing followers to a shared vision. Leadership theory is an example. Behavioral theory focuses on how leaders act. Example: a manager identifies a decline in team performance. A task-oriented leader would focus on reorganizing the workflow of process. A people-oriented leader would speak with team members to understand and resolve their issues. Contingency theory assumes there is no single best style and that a leader's effectiveness depends on the situation. Example: a leader using a highly participative style might be effective in a creative team but less so in a crisis where quick, autocratic decisions are needed. Reitman theory and trait theory suggest leaders are born with specific innate qualities. Example: historical figures like Abraham Lincoln or Mahatma Gandhi are often cited as examples of leaders who were seen as having innate heroic leadership qualities. Trait theory evolved to suggest these qualities could also be development servant leadership, a style based on prioritizing the needs of the team's first. Example: a leader who consistently puts their team's well-being and development above their own and empowers them by involving them in decision-making. Transformational leadership involves inspiring and motivating followers through a compelling vision and a focus on change. Example: a leaders who inspire a marketing team by connecting the project's success to the company's lar- larger vision, the impact on clients, and the personal and professional goals of the employees.
Good morning. I'm Kervijan C. Manolado from BSTM 1A. Our topic for today is the trait theory of leadership and the type of leadership. First, we're going to talk about the trait theory of leadership. The trait theory of leadership explains that some people are born with natural qualities that make them effective leaders. This theory believes that leadership is not only learned through experience but also come from a person's character and personality. Researchers who studied great leaders like Abraham Lincoln and Mahatma Gandhi found that many good leaders share similar traits such as confidence, honesty, intelligence, determination, and responsibility. These traits help a leader make a good decisions, earn respect, and guide their team towards success. Example: Abraham Lincoln was a leader who showed strong determination and courage. Even when facing many challenges, he never gave up in working for peace and unity in his country. In the same way, when a leader is honest and responsible and knows how to communicate well with their team, it becomes easier to inspire others to cooperate and achieve success together. A type of leader. When it comes to leadership style, every leader has their own way of guiding people, and each type has its own strengths and weaknesses. Dictatorial leader. A dictatorial leader is someone who always wants to be followed and does not like to hear other opinions. These leaders make all decisions and everyone is expected to obey. This style works well in situations that need quick decision and strict discipline. Example: a police chief who gives direct orders to his officers to immediately perform these duties, especially during emergencies or dangerous situations. However, because of the leader's strictness, people may become afraid and hesitate to share their ideas. Autocratic leader. An autocratic leader is similar to a dictatorial one, but not as strict. They still make most of the decisions, but sometimes allow a little freedom as long as rules are followed. This style these styles help maintain order and direct in the workplace. Example: oh shit. Democratic leader. A democratic leader is the kind of leader who listens to and values the opinions of others. They encourage teamwork and participation in decision making. This type of leaders help build trust and cooperation within the group. Example, a tour guide who asks for suggestions from members on how to improve the services for tourists. The advantage of this style is that the group works together and understand each other. Though decisions may take longer since everyone wants to share their ideas. Laissez-faire leader. A laissez-faire leader gives total freedom to their members and trusts them to do their work independently. This leader only steps in when necessary. This style works best when the members are skilled and responsible. Example, a hotel manager who trusts the staff to perform these duties without constant supervision. However, if the members are not responsible, the group might lose direction and have inconsistent. Both the traits theory and the different leadership styles shows that leadership is not only about power, but also about character and the way a person guides others. A good leader knows when to decide, when to listen, and when to give freedom. True leadership means helping, guiding, and inspiring others to reach a common goal.
Good day, I'm Matt Maloles. My topic for today is Behavioral Theory of Leadership. This theory says leadership is based in actions, not just traits. Good leaders can be trained to behave in ways that motivate and guide employees. It focuses on what leaders do, not what they are. There are usually two main behaviors. Task-oriented focuses on getting the job done. People-oriented focuses on building relationships. Good day again. Communication. Communication is the process of exchanging information, ideas, and feelings between two or more people to achieve understanding and action. For example, a manager giving instruction to employees about their daily task. Communication process. We have sender, message, and receiver. And the sender of the example is the manager who's giving the instruction, and the message is the instruction that has given to the employees, and the receiver are the employees of the communication process. And that's how it works. We have sender, message, and receiver, and the receiver is the employees, and the sender is the manager, and the message is the instructions. And that's all for communication. Bye.
So, good day everyone. Today I'll be discussing the situational theory of leadership. So, first, this theory suggests that there is no single best style of leadership. Instead, effective leaders change their style depending on the maturity, experience, and skill level of their employee. So, the situational theory means that a leader should not use only style of leading all the time. Instead, they must adjust their approach depending on the situation and the people they lead. Like for example, if a team members kanang bag-o pa sa kuan, bag-o pa na hire, a leader need to lead their new worker, give them instruction and guidance. So this theory helps leaders become flexible, understanding, and effective because they learn how to handle the different kinds of people and situation properly. On the other hand, if workers are skilled and experience, the leader should give them freedom. No need na i-guide, and ang leader kay mo trust na sa ila worker because they show respect for their ability and motivates them to perform well. In short, situational leadership approach based on the needs and readiness of your team. Thank you.
Contingency theory of leadership. This theory says there is no single best way to lead. The best leadership style depends on the situation. The leader must adapt to what the team needs. So there is no perfect way of leadership that fits in this situation. It means that being an effective leader kay nagdepende sa kung unsay need sa situation o sa kagrupo. In this theory, kay dapat ang leader kay kahibaw mag-adjust. For example, ang inyo team kay nanginahanglan ng fast decision making. So, the leader may be more direct. Pero kung ang usa ka grupo kay nag-need og participation and idea sa usag-usa, mas better if mo gamit og collaborative style. So we have 6 important components. First, we have sender. Second, message. Third, kay ang channel. 4, receiver. 5, feedback. And lastly, we have environment.
So in addition to our topic everyone, so ako ra nigay summarize ang mga theories. So this is what we call summary of all the theories. So leadership theories are frameworks that help explain how and why certain individuals become effective leaders. There are several key theories, each offering different perspective on leadership. Trait theory suggests that certain people are born with natural leadership qualities such as confidence, intelligence, and charisma. For example, a manager who naturally inspires others and makes decisions calmly under pressure may be seen as a trait-based leader. Behavioral theory focuses on what leaders do rather than their traits, emphasizing leadership styles like democratic, autocratic, or laissez-faire. For instance, a leader who regularly involves their team in decision-making is using a democratic leadership style. Contingency theory argues that effective leaders depends on the situation, and no single style works best in all circumstances. For example, a task-oriented leader may be effective in a crisis, while a relationship-oriented leader may be better in stable environments. Transformational leadership theory emphasizes inspiring and motivating followers to achieve their full potential and go beyond expectation. For example, a CEO who encourages innovation and personal growth in their team reflects transformational leadership. Finally, situational leadership theory suggests that leaders should adapt their style based on the maturity and competence of their followers. A team of new employees might need a more directive style, while experienced staff may thrive under a more delegative approach. Each theory provides valuable insights into how leaders can adapt to better influence and guide their teams. So that's the essence of all the theories, everyone. So thank you.
Good day, everyone. Let's tackle about the main components. Number 1, sender or source. This person who creates and sends the message. So the sender is kanang the manager or leader or employee who creates and sends kanang a message to share information, to give instruction, to express ideas. So the sender is kanang responsibilidad nila nga i-clear ang kanang ilang message kay para ang uban makasabot. So for example, kanang a manager send an email to the staff about the network schedule. So, ang kanang gisend sa manager nga kanang message kay dapat kanang klaro siya kay para kanang ang mga staff makasabot kada dayon. Next, encoding. Turning the message into words, action, or symbol. So, encoding means converting thoughts or information into words or symbols or action that others can understand para makasabot. So, encoding happens when the manager mag-choose to how express ideas clearly. So, through writing reports, virtual meetings, or visual presentation. So, for example, ang team leader kay ga-encode og message by create a PowerPoint. So para ang presentation kay ma-explain properly. Next is message, the information being communicated. So, the message is the content for information being communicated. So, it could be instruction, feedback, updates, or announcements important for decision-making or coordination. So, for example, is ang instructors ninyo or maestra ninyo is ga-announce nga ang deadline sa project is Friday pa. So, then, through message, maka-chat ka dito o sa imong mga concern or question. Number 4, channel and media. The medium used to send message, verbal, written, or body language. So, the channel is the medium or method used to send a message. So, meetings, emails, memos, or chat apps. So, choosing the right channel is essential management to ensure nga ang message is ma-reaches employees effectively. So, for example, kay is ang supervisor is ga-use og video call para ma-discuss ang new company policy with remote employees. Next is receiver, the person who receives and interpret the message. So, the person or groups who gets the message and needs to understand or act on it. So, receivers can be employees, co-workers, or teams who interpret the information and perform tasks accordingly. So, for example, ang employee kay ga-receive og memo sa HR about sa upcoming training. Next is decoding. The receiver interprets and understands the message. So, decoding is interpreting and understanding the message received. So, good decoding requires nga mo listen and naatay comprehension skills to ensure the correct meaning is received. So, for example, is ang employee kay nag-correct interprets what's the urgent meeting. So, means is mo attend kag meeting dinalian. Next is noise. Anything that distorts or confuses the message. So, noise is anything that distorts or confuses with the message. So, ang noise can be literal nga ang background kay saba and misunderstanding nimo or emotional barriers ka o unclear writing pagaka. So, for example, kay ang employee kay na wa kasabot sa message or call kay kanang ang iya signal kay kanang hinay kanang during the kanang online meeting. Next is feedback, the last. Response from the receiver to confirm understanding. So, feedback is a response given the receiver to the sender to show understanding or ask clarification. So, it completes the communication process and helps improve the coordination and teamwork. So, for example, anak kay kanang employee kay ga-reply o kanang ga-reply sa kanang email saying kuan kanang nakasabot ra siya kanang iyara humnon with kanang within the iyara humnon ang report within the Friday. Yeah.
Next is I will discuss communication media and managers' jobs. First, we have oral communication. In oral communication, we have face-to-face, telephone, teleconferencing, and etc. And the purpose of this communication is planning and organizing. Oral communication is the most direct, immediate way for managers to exchange ideas, give instructions, and discuss plan with their team. It allows for real-time feedbacks and clarification, make it ideal for planning strategies and organizing tasks. So example of this is we have meeting about daily sales target. So a managers conduct a meeting about the daily sales target to discuss goals with the team. And another example, during a project discussion, team members share ideas and agree on a work plan. Next, we have written communication. In written communication, we have letters, reports, memoranda, and etc. And the purpose of this communication is stopping, directing. Written communication provides a permanent record of information. It is used for giving clear instructions, signing tasks, documenting policies, or evaluating performance. This helps managers in stopping and directing to guide employees toward goals. So example is we have written jobs description or report. So a manager write job description that specify employee duties and qualifications. Next is action. In action, we have body language, gesture, posture, and facial expressions. The purpose of this is controlling. When we say controlling, it helps managers monitor and control the performance and behavior of the employees. Through observations, manager can assess attitudes, motivation, and work habits. Likewise, a manager's body language can also influence employee morale and performance. Example, observing employee performance. A managers observe employee performance to ensure work quality and adherence of the company standards. And the other example, a manager facial expressions or gesture can show approval, disapproval, or encouragement during meeting. So that's all for the communication media and manager's job. Next is the importance of communication. First, we have builds understanding between team members. A good communication helps team members share ideas, clarify instruction, and express concern. It creates mutual understanding and strengthens teamwork, which is essential for achieving common goals, which everyone understands their roles and responsibility. Work becomes smoother and more efficient. So example ani is during a meeting, members openly discuss their tasks and challenge, helping everyone understand how their works connect to the group's goals. Next is improve productivity and coordination. So in in, in this, when communication is clear and consistent, tasks are done faster and with fewer mistakes. It allows team members to coordinate their activities properly and to avoid duplication of work. Effective communication also ensures that instructions are followed correctly, which increase overall productivity. So, ang example ani niya is in restaurant, the chicken staff and waiter communicate effectively through orders and signals, ensuring quick service to customer. So another example sa office sa managers use email or sa chat group to update everyone on deadlines and priorities, helping employees stay coordinated. So next number is help avoid misunderstanding. Poor communication often leads to confusion, error, or conflicts. By communicating clearly and verifying information, misunderstandings can be avoided. Effective communication ensures that messages are understood correctly by everyone involved. So example pula niya is supervisor give clear written instructions on how to operate a machine to prevent mistake and accident. Before an event, so next is encourage feedback and motivation. Communication is a two-way process. Not only do managers give instruction, but they also listen to employees' feedback. Employees feel heard, that become more motivated and engaged. Positively communication like giving praise or constructive feedback boost morale and confidence. So example sa dani niya is ang manager regularly asks team members for suggestion on how to improve the workplace and thanks them for their ideas. So that's all for importance of communication.
So good day everyone. Today I'll be discussing the factors influencing communication and the flows of communication in an organization. So let's start with the factors influencing communication. Communication inside an organization can be affected by different factors that can either help or block the message. Understanding this helps improve teamwork and clarity. So first, let's start with the levels of organization. The more layers or levels a company has, the longer it takes for a message to travel. For example, in a big company, a message from the CEO may take time before it reaches employees, which can cause delay or misunderstanding. Second, task specialization. When people focus on different tasks, they sometimes use technical terms that others don't understand. Example, an accountant might use accounting terms that confuse someone from marketing. Third, status differences based on organizational level constraints. People may feel shy or afraid to speak to someone with higher authority. Example, an employee might hesitate to tell their manager about a problem. Fourth, procedures imposed by the organization. Strict rules or formal processes can slow down communication. Example, if every message needs approval before sending, it can delay important updates. Fifth, physical distance between people. When team members are far apart, messages may be delayed or lost. Example, employees from different branches rely on calls or emails, which may cause miscommunication. Lastly, pyramid shape. Organizations with many levels of management make communication slower and less personal. Example, messages must pass through several supervisors before reaching top management. Now let's move on the flows of communication. Communication in an organization flows in three directions: downward, upward, and horizontal. First, we have downward communication. This is from superiors to subordinates. Example, a manager giving instruction to employees. Second, upward communication. This goes from employees to managers. Example, an employee reporting sales updates to their supervisor. Lastly, horizontal or lateral communication. This happens between people of the same level in the organization. Example, two employees coordinating on a task. In conclusion, good communication helps build understanding, improve productivity, and avoid misunderstandings. Knowing the factors and flows of communication makes teamwork more effective and the organization more successful. So that's all, and thank you.
Aray ko.